Let's go ahead and talk Horizon 4. So for those that, don't browse the Forza Reddit, or you're just not really, like looking at shit that deep, Forza Horizon 4 had some concept art kind of accidentally released recently, and it kind of gave some cool information regarding the next game. I actually still think the game's going to be set in the UK, but this is really, really cool, and I had to show it off. So if we go over to the Forza Reddit page, there's a post put up by a guy called Will, and essentially he found a concept artist linked to Microsoft and linked to the Forza Horizon series, and there is so much concept art to show you guys. The most interesting thing about all this concept art is that it's in China. It's actually pretty freaking awesome. If I scroll down it now, I can see one picture with a Mazda Furai in, which is a kind of concept car thing, which was never really released, I don't think, at least from memory. I'm scrolling down, I'm seeing interesting buildings, I'm seeing people driving down rail tracks. It's pretty freaking cool. I'm gonna carry on, showing some of the photos here, but it's really, really cool, and I've seen a lot of people now thinking that the game is going to be in Hong Kong, and I'm gonna give my theory into this, gonna interject my opinion, and because I still believe the game is going to be set in the UK, and here's why. This has happened with previous Horizon games. I'm pretty sure concept art came out with one of the previous Horizons supposedly being in Louisiana. As we know, all of the next gen Forza Horizon games have not even been set in the US. So I don't necessarily think that this is gonna happen. I think maybe it was on the drawing board when they were first going through, places where Horizon could be. I think China and Hong Kong is actually a really, really good, I think the whole Asian idea of it is really, really cool. I'm looking through there was one picture specifically, it was the one with the R35 GTR. That to me looked so awesome. I can only imagine going through the Hong Kong at night time with the neon city lights going past you. Very similar to Japan in that way. And it's just very, very cool. It's a very different area. And although that is the case, like I said, we have seen this happen previously. Louisiana had concept art from a Forza, and it was official. It's actual Forza concept art. So this isn't really that foreign of an idea. What I do think, though, is I think that Hong Kong was on the list of places where they were thinking about taking this series. Obviously, before the game's made, you've got to sit there and, go through a bunch of ideas and a bunch of places where you think the game can be. I believe Hong Kong probably got on a short list of some kind, and they were like, you know what, concept artists, go ahead and do this, and we're going to pick between the ones that we think look the best given the concept art, or something across those lines. I'm not a game dev, but logically, from someone who is a casual fan of the series, I would think that's how the process would work. They'd have a bunch of names, they'd probably sort it down to 3 or 4, have concept art and ideas for the 3 or 4, and then pick the one which would be best for the game or something across those lines. And I just think Hong Kong, China, whatever this is, looks like something which made it onto the shortlist, didn't quite get there. And the only reason why I'm saying it didn't quite get there is because we have actually seen, British cars found in the Forza Motorsport 7 official game files. On your Forza 7 game right now, you can find an English taxi as well as some TVRs, some Astons, and that to me just sounds all the more believable. If you were to ask me, something which is currently on disc, I just can't see how, it would be anywhere else but the UK. There's no reason for these cars to leak, if it wasn't going to be in that place. Also, to back up my point, in the last game, we found a bunch of Australian cars in the game files before Horizon 3 was announced. So surely that just makes sense. I'm sure you can see me connecting the dots here. I'm seeing a lot of people getting excited about Hong Kong, and personally, I think Hong Kong would be a much more interesting place than the UK. I've talked about this in previous videos, and I will link a playlist talking about everything Horizon down in the description, but I just can't see it. I think it's a bit out of reach. Again, Hong Kong, in my opinion, is an amazing location. It was one of those ones where when I saw the article pop up, when I saw the Reddit post pop up, I was like, wait, hold on a second. that looks really different to anything we've seen. I think what I want from a racing game is not necessarily an Asian setting, but something which is a bit different and a bit new and a bit fresh. You know, Europe and America has been done so many times in racing games, and I think now I am properly ready to see some Asian influence, you know, in terms of a map location. Tokyo, Hong Kong, China, they're all really, really cool areas, and especially with China, you can only imagine the supercar kind of influence and the supercar, you know, crossovers they could have there, because obviously China is just fucking rich. Regardless, we won't know until E3. If you were again to ask me for an educated guess, I would probably guess that the game is probably going to get a few teasers before E3. We're going to see a bunch of leaks before E3, and then when E3 comes around, it's probably going to be one of the first games they show off. It's going to be an Xbox One X enhanced game. It's going to be like an Xbox One exclusive, play anywhere exclusive, and you know, all of that Xbox Game Pass, and then they'll unveil it at E3. And at E3, we're going to see probably one demo, which we will end up playing in September. But as well as that, we'll also see a cinematic trailer, which they do every single time, showing off the festival, showing off the cover car as well. I think at E3 we're going to get the cover car reveal, and I think it's going to be England. I am pretty certain at this point. I don't want to believe it, because again, I don't really want the game to be set there. I'd much rather the game be set somewhere like Tokyo, or set somewhere like Hong Kong, or set somewhere like, you know, like China. Shanghai, that whole thing to me sounds really, really cool, but I just can't see it at this point, and that's all I really have to say on the actual location. I really do hope whatever they do, the reason why the location is so important with Horizon is because the modes are so bland, and because the campaign is so bland, and the multiplayer focus hasn't changed since the second game. I do hope whatever they do, they actually make major improvements to the multiplayer. I hope they make major improvements to the campaign. I know multiplayer focus is where games are going nowadays, but I still want a game where I can sit down and race and, you know, do these different things and not have it feel boring or repetitive. That's the problem Horizon suffers from, for me at least. On Horizon 3, I just feel like I'm racing for no reason. There's no motive to race. You know, in the Crew 2, you might have seen a lot of videos I've been uploading with the Crew 2, there's a motive. You know, you're upgrading your cars through races, you're progressing through the story mode in races, you know, you're unlocking money, which, you know, in Forza is given to you left, right and center, but in the Crew, obviously it's quite sparse. So, you know, doing races, that there is actually a full motive to doing that. As with Horizon, I can't really say the same. I want there to be a reason for me to play this game. I don't want the excuse of make your own fun. I'm a bit scared. I'm a bit scared of that. I'm a bit bored of that excuse, because it is just an excuse at this point. Forza Blueprints, I feel, was an excuse to not have an actual, you know, story with festival bosses. There's no reason why Horizon couldn't have festival bosses. I think it would suit the game perfectly, and it's something which I personally would really like to see. That was one of the things which made the original so captivating and so interesting, was, you know, you had Darius Flint right at the top. I'm pretty sure one of them was called Ramona, and she had a raptor, and she was like the first boss you faced. Though it's things like that that really make games memorable. I don't really feel like the last two games were memorable, either in the map, the story mode, the cars. There's nothing particularly memorable about Forza Horizon 2 or 3. I will say the cover cars kind of were, you know, Horizon 2, Huracan, Horizon 3 was the Centenario, but that took me a second. That took me a second to think about. If you had to ask me Horizon 1, it's obvious it's the Viper GTS. You know, it's one of those things with certain games, cars are just like off the bat bang. Forza 4 was the 458, you know, Forza 3 was the R8. It's just one, you know, I don't feel like that's the same necessarily with the more newer games. I hope that sense of, you know, memorable moments and stuff comes back with Forza Horizon 4, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Again, I feel like I've been dirty. I've been done dirty by the Forza series so many times over these past few years. I'm just not sure what to think, and I guess we won't know until E3 comes round. But that's been it from me today. All the links to all the actual art you've seen in this video will be down in the description, so if you want to go ahead and use it for a wallpaper or something, I'll put the actual source links down in the description so you can go ahead and look at it yourself, as well as the Reddit links, so you guys can go ahead and read through the comments and maybe post yourself. But that's been it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to go ahead and hit the like, subscribe for more Forza Horizon 4 content. As soon as we hear anything, it will be on the channel right here, so go ahead and stay tuned. But that's been it from me today. I will see you guys in the next one. You guys have been awesome. Stay safe and peace.
racist. If you come to New York City and you try to blow anything up, Barack Obama is coming for you. I'm from Brooklyn. I rep Brooklyn all day. They killed Biggie.